Skilling is important. Hey guys, what is up? It is No Help and welcome back to another video today. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about skilling and the importance of skilling in the game. Over the past couple of years, the entire game has been pretty much all about PvM, Slayer, PvP, raids, whatever it may be. Now, this type of content is extremely fun and engaging, and also it is the best way to make money in the game. So this is why people choose to do these activities. So I just want to compare some of the money making guides for skilling versus PvM. So this is like the best in the game for hourly profit. Of course, right now, Sunfire Runes are a heavy one up there at 3 million GP per hour. Divine Super Combats as well. But realistically, ones that you can do all of the time, pickpocketing elves is 2 mil an hour, but you need the rogues equipment, and you also need to get lucky with the crystals from the elves. Same with the Vires, you need to get lucky with the blood shards. You know, and the other ones are about 2 million GP per hour. It's cool to see that the Rogue's Castle is up there now as well. And if we take a look at the combat, it is very different, right? So completing the Fortis Coliseum right now is 19 mil an hour. Next, duoing is 16 mil. Tombs of a Masket, Theater of Blood, Chambers of Zarek. As you can see, these are all like between 6-7 mil all the way up to 20 million GP, and you can just keep scrolling down. So we'll keep scrolling down until we get to where it was with skilling, so about here, which is still the best skilling money making methods in the game, are as good as, say, killing Vorkath, which is one of the easier bosses to kill in the game, and you can just consistently camp, and this is actually 2 million GP per hour without having to get super lucky with the drops. Also, some of the really skilled and talented PvPers out there can easily make over 100 million GP per hour with doing, say, risk fights or deep wieldy PKing. Now, when I was a kid, basically when I would ever play this game, skilling had more of an importance in the game, I feel, basically. Like, you could, say, train woodcutting, runecrafting, or mining, and it would be some of the best ways in the entire game to make money. So, say, once you were able to mine runite rocks, right, that was a huge way to make money back in the day, or double nature runes, right, or even just, like, chopping yew trees back in the day. You were able to make money, and this is why so many people chose to chop yew trees and get slower experience in woodcutting, and that's kind of no longer the case. Like, why would you chop yew trees in 2024, right? You're going to be getting, say, 20,000 woodcutting experience per hour. It is a little AFK, so that's kind of like an upside to it, right? But, like, the money is, what, 150 to 200k an hour? You can make more money than that, usually with one boss drop, which could take 5 minutes. So I feel like skilling these days is seen more as a chore rather than something fun to train, where you can also make a lot of profit, right? So for most people going for max, right, if they have to, say, train woodcutting or one of the skills that would typically make money, even fishing, right, back in the day made an absolute ton of money, right? People nowadays will choose the fast method where they get more experience and make no money at all, or even lose money in some cases, rather than doing the slow method, the more sociable method where you would train and talk to people, right? It's kind of really no longer the case. Even, say, playing an Ironman account is very different from when I first started my Ironman. When I first started my Ironman, I would say 7 years ago, there was still like a purpose to, say, chopping trees, mining ore, and doing all this type of stuff, right? Because there was no other way to get it in bulk. But nowadays, there's so many methods. Certain bosses will drop, say, all the pure essence you need. Other bosses or raids will drop all the gold ore, all the coal you need, all the U-logs you need, right? Birdhouse runs will basically get you unlimited birds' nests. It's just kind of very different the way we play the game now. So right now, as you can see, I'm training rune crafting on my main account, right, where I'm eventually going to slowly max this account out. But basically, when I was training rune crafting on my Ironman, blood runes were trading at 400 to 450 GP each. And as of right now, they're 223, which is actually one of the highest that they've been in a very long time. They were usually about 200, which was the same price that you could trade them into Ally in Alcrid 4. So really, rune crafting, even like the best methods, say blood runes, double natures, whatever the best way you can train rune crafting to make money, is pretty much the lowest that it has ever been. Now, one of the skills that I find that always is consistent with making money, which is a complete opposite to what it did back in the day, is cooking. Back when I was a kid, you used to lose a lot of money cooking, right? You'd gain the experience and the raw fish would be worth more than the cooked. But in today's day and age, right, you make an absolute ton of money cooking and you gain probably one of the fastest XP rates of a skill in the game, right? Karambwans, for example, right now, right? A raw Karambwan 400 and the cooked variant is 549. So you're making 150 GP every single time you successfully cook a Karambwan, and you're also getting 190 cooking experience. The reason is people use Karambwans to PK, to go to raids, and also to do Slayer and PVM with. Also, less people are fishing Karambwans than they used to because it simply doesn't make as much money. When even bots, for example, could bot some PVM activity, even something like the giant mole or whatever, and make more money doing so. Now, the thing is, the reason like skilling has gone down for money making and more and less popularity for people training it is because, you know, like I said, PVM is more exciting, more engaging, and you can make a lot more money from it, right? So what can they really do to fix skilling, right? It's kind of like too far gone at this point, right? Most of the bosses in the game drop skilling supplies, right? So it's kind of a weird thing that, say, like one of the biggest bosses in the game will be carrying, say, gold ore, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird when you really think about it, but that's the reason a lot of these prices have dropped. And if more people are PVMing, getting these drops in bulk, it's going to cause the price to go down, right? And it's going to make, say, the buyable skills even cheaper to train over time. When old school RuneScape first came out, I remember I was pricing 99 crafting, 99 prayer, and all those skills, right? And they were like 150 to 200 million GP each. And now you could, you know, pretty much break even with crafting if you use molten glass or spend very little to no money, even getting the fastest experience in the game. And same with prayer, right? It used to be so expensive to get this to 99, but because of all of the drops with all the bosses in the game just spitting out bones like Hydra, there's a bunch of other ones, and all the bots like doing rune dragons and whatever, it's really caused the price of prayer to go down over time. You could probably get 99 prayer for about 40 to 50 mil now. Honestly, probably even cheaper with the Varlamore update. It's honestly just a different game now, right? Like, people want to play something that's more mechanically challenging rather than just sitting and AFKing some yew trees or, you know, power mining, or when we have things like the Motherlode mine as an example, or volcanic mine or blast mine. There's so many different options to use for training now. One thing that I really like that old school RuneScape does and is trying to pretty much improve on with each and every update that they make for skilling is making these skilling updates where they either make like a brand new guild for the place. Like the farming guild was one of the best updates in my personal opinion for skilling ever. Really took a skill that a lot of people didn't really know how to train or didn't really like training it, and kind of made it so that you could do it in this guild, understand it a little bit more, learn where all the patches are, and complete these contracts for farming, right? They also recently just did this with Hunter, where they made the Hunter contracts, which is similar to PVM and Slayer, right? And honestly, like, I only did the content for like a couple of hours, the Hunter contracts, and it was the most fun that I've ever had training Hunter in the entire game. And it's weird because it was the same methods that were already in the game, but just getting tasks for them made it so much more engaging. And you can also get rewards for this, right? Like they really need to do that with more skills, in my opinion. Other ways that they've made skills more like engaging is the skilling bosses, which I'm a huge fan of. We've got like Wintertide, we've got Temporis, there's a bunch of other skilling bosses in the game, and again, I think they need to add a lot more of these into the game. Basically, it takes the boring skill like fishing, right, for an example, turns it into sort of like a PvM encounter where it's a boss that you're fighting with a bunch of other people, and again, there's some crazy cool rewards that you could get. Kind of brings the RNG aspect of it as well, that you could maybe get a pet or maybe get a very rare reward, kind of like when you're killing a boss, you know, you might land big and get that twisted bow, or you might just get a couple 100k of herbs, you know what I mean? It really brings that exciting factor into skilling. When you take a look at all the skills in the game, right, really only a couple of them are combat or PvM related, and the rest of them have to do with skilling. So I really think skilling needs to get more updates, be paid more attention to. I really like what they're doing, trying to kind of almost change skills in a way or bring them back to life, make them more modernized. I like what they're doing with maybe this new herblore update that we're going to be getting, kind of like a factory assembly line where you make potions you have to make potions, you get an order to make a bunch of potions for all these people, right? It's just making the game more exciting, more fun, and bringing more utility out of the skill. Skilling is super important. It really brings old school RuneScape together, right? Without all of these skills, the game really wouldn't make sense. Imagine the game without fishing or cooking. How are you going to get food to actually fight bosses and do PvM and do PvP and actually get to the fun content? It's really weird because before I started playing Iron Man, this is pre-EOC and whatever, I enjoyed scaling a lot more than I did PvM. And I believe there's two factors with this. One is they didn't really make that many good PvM updates back then. The big one I'm thinking of is the evolution of combat. Really not a good update for combat overall, right? So there wasn't really much to do. There were some bosses, obviously, but not like that we have in old school now. The bosses are so much better, so much more mechanically challenging. And I like the whole raids aspect too, where you go into a raid. This is something we never had before. I guess we had dungeoneering, but that's kind of different. It was a skill, right? And the other reason was basically like pre-EOC and stuff, like combat to me anyways was boring. It was kind of all the same, and if you basically had the right prayer on, you didn't take damage and you just kill it, and maybe you switched from range or magic or melee, but it was really all the same unless you were doing some bossing, right? And there wasn't too many bosses, as I've already said, right? The old school has really introduced so many bosses, so many different mechanics, and really made it a lot better. But say you played in 2009, like we had God Wars, we had Nex, like there was a couple of bosses, we had QBD, you know what I mean? But it was kind of boring, you know what I mean? And I guess that's why they made the evolution of combat, but that really didn't fix the problem. It just kind of made it worse. But I guess that's why we have old school RuneScape, and with this simple combat system, we were able to make some of the best bosses, most mechanically challenging bosses to ever be in RuneScape. But the overall point of this video is skilling is a huge part of the game, and I really think it is important, and I believe that they should focus more on skilling to make money, so that not everyone goes to just do PvM to make money, right? If you kind of think about it, to make millions and millions of GP with skilling, it's going to take you a very long time when you can do it very quickly with combat and PvM, right? I feel like skilling should be more rewarding to make money, to have more of a use in the game. Introduce new items that won't be dropped by bosses, maybe make some more skilling bosses, maybe make some more guilds and stuff like that, right? Make more contract-based things to make skilling more engaging. It doesn't even have to change, like I said, like the Hunters Guild where they added the contracts. It's the same content that's already in the game, but with the like it being a contract, a Slayer task, you know what I mean? It's just so much more engaging, having a guild, getting all these rewards, right? There's so many things that they could do to skilling, and skilling is so important and such a big part of the game, right? And I honestly can't decide which one I like better, skilling or PvM. I would go and say PvM right away just because that's what I've been doing for the past 2 years, but there's really no incentive for me to train skills anymore. I mean, I've maxed my account, right? So what is there to do? And this is kind of like why I've been replaying this main account again, just so that I can do some skilling activities again. Like, it feels like I haven't trained a skill in years, right? I've just been doing raids, bosses, and Slayer for the past couple of years on my Ironman account, and it's like there's no incentive for me to train it past 99. Now, maybe one day they'll bring 120 capes or mastery capes or some more content for us to do with skilling, right? But as of for now, right, there's not much incentive to train it. You don't make a lot of money. I mean, yeah, sure, you can get some cool pets and whatever, but I really want them to focus on more updates to make skilling worth our time. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. I think skilling is very important, and it's part of the game that really should be focused on a lot more. They've really killed it with PVM. It's some of the best Slayer creatures, the best bosses, and the best raids that I've ever seen in all of RuneScape. But we need some more love to skilling. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video today. I will catch you in the next one. See ya later.